सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। We shall chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verses 11 to 20.
कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये। युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम्। अयुक्तः कामकारेण फलेसक्तो निबध्यते। सर्वकर्माणि मनसा सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी। नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्। न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः। न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते। नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभुः। अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः। ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषां नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्। तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्य पुनरावृत्तिम् ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः। विद्या विनयसम्पन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनिश्चैव स्वपाके च पंडिता समदर्शिनः। इहैव दैक्षिकः सर्गः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः। निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नो द्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियम्। स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः।
As we had discussed in the very first day of this lecture, Vedanta gives us the purpose of life. It talks to us about the purpose of life. And we discussed that purpose of life is to simply live life. Live life totally, completely, fully. And when we say live life, what are the signs of living our life fully, totally? First is, there has to be awareness. If each and every action of ours, each and every choice of ours is taken with awareness by our buddhi, then we are living our life. You understand? We are not acting or running away from action mechanically. So therefore, one of the very first signs of life is awareness. That's why they say anything that will take our awareness away is something that we need to get out of. Today, the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems you can say, or main big problem that is confronting many of us is in the world, is especially youngsters, is drugs. Alcohol, drugs, all these kind of things. Somebody told me that as young as 7th standard children start getting into vaping and all that. You understand? So, what is that they do? Why do we say that you have to get away from them? They take away your awareness. You understand? And you are like a zombie, isn't it? So, anything that eats your awareness, it's a problem. You're not living your life. So, awareness is a very important sign of life. Another important sign of life is action. Action is the insignia of life. Inaction is death. Constantly water is flowing in the river. So you see there is life there. You can produce electricity. Water is stagnant in a pond. Right? Slowly the water evaporates, starts collecting dirt. Life becomes extinct. So, where there is a flow, there is life. Where there is stagnation, no life. Action is the insignia of life. So, it is stupidity if a person asks, why should I act? Should I act? Do you wish to live? Yes, of course. Then if you wish to live, then you have to act. That's why Sri Krishna says, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit. Karyate hyavashak karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. None can remain without action even for a moment. You understand? एक second भी आप बिना action जिंदगी जी नहीं सकते. To that extent, you are dying. You understand? Like I said yesterday, if you rest, you will rest. That doesn't mean you run like a chicken without head. Your action should also be underlined by awareness. I already spoke about awareness. Right? And then action is another important sign of life. So you have to put them together. Action plus awareness. And then when you do action with awareness, there will be a lot of cheer. There will be a lot of fun. Life would be fun. You would look forward for Monday mornings. Otherwise, you look forward for Friday evenings. You say, thank God it's Friday. So in the ashram, what Swamiji does is, the ashram prints the t-shirts when people come for retreats. And those t-shirts are given to them. On the t-shirt, he prints, thank God it's Monday. TGIM. Looking forward. A cheer. You say, when a person is cheerful, my God, man, that guy is really fun. A lot of life in that person. Even if a relatively, depressed person or a person who's lacking cheer, when he comes in contact with a cheerful person, he gets enthused. Isn't it? So, otherwise, constantly, Swamiji says, one businessman took appointment with him to meet him to discuss something. And he came and he started talking, constantly saying, Swamiji, this life is not worth living. Sab chor hai, sab aisa hai, sab ye wo, all negative. So I feel like committing suicide. It's not worth living. We should die. He included him also. We should die. All that. So Swamiji kept quiet for a while. And then he couldn't. So he said, listen, you've been constantly saying, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. Why don't you die? He said, no energy for that also. So for everything he has no energy. And he wants Swamiji to lend energy to commit suicide. You understand? The point is, when you are living life, there will be energy. You'll be looking forward. People would love to flock around you. That's what happens every time you talk about Krishna. You understand? It's life. You understand? So, even Rama, when you read Ramayana, wherever Rama is going, people are going with him. You're not boring, dull person. It's not that all the time he's cracking joke. See, a person who's living life has no time to sit and worry and waste it. Like I said, we are living in our head. We have to live our life, not in our head. This living in our head is called samsara. That is what we have to become free from. You understand? Not free from activities. Do you get it? So therefore, there has to be a lot of fun. And another important aspect of life is there has to be growth. Isn't it? There has to be growth. You see somebody at the age of 5, they are at a particular height. And you meet them after 2-3 years. You go with an idea that the child would have grown up a little bit. But if the child is at the same height, you say, kya ho gaya yaar? Huh? So, you say there's something wrong. Maybe you have to consult a doctor or something like that. Isn't it? So, life means there has to be growth. But the problem is, today, we understand swelling as growth. We think by acquiring wealth, by acquiring relationships, by acquiring information, we are growing. That is not growth. You understand? So growth means there has to be depth in us. Are you with me? There has to be peace. Even today only, they started the war in Iran, US, Israel, and then Afghanistan, Pakistan. There's constant war. Human beings. And we call ourselves human beings. Right? Now we don't find such wars happening amongst animals. On a daily basis for survival, maybe they are killing another animal just for food's sake, for survival's sake. But here, you understand, the point is, there is only so much of accumulation. And we say we are growing, we are more civilized. What civilization? Please think about it. You see, when we were not grown, when we were not civilized like today, we had a better capacity of our senses. Today those senses of the capacities have gone. Simple thing I'll tell you. Before mobile phones and all that, people used to note down their mobile numbers, their contacts numbers on the diary, and most of it they kept it in their memory also. Now even somebody comes and asks you, please give your mobile number. You think twice. Excuse me, wait a minute. So, are we really civilized? Are we really growing? What is happening? So, Vedanta says a human being has a capacity to grow to a different level. And he or she can reach a height which no other species can reach. That is the extent to which a human being can grow. There's a very interesting book Swami Chinmayananda ji has written. It's called The Art of Man Making. Today, we are all appearing in human form. Are we really human beings? Some of us are in human form, but like a plant. A plant is extremely dependent, isn't it? Even if there is a lake or a pond just 50 meters away, it can't help itself. Somebody has to get the water and pour it, isn't it? Plant is very dependent. Animals are slightly better. For food, for survival, they migrate. Birds migrate. But they are very attached. You understand? Their development also is very restricted. Whereas a human being, you understand, can rise above the level of plants and animals. Plants also have life. Animals also have life. Plants have no emotions. When I say no emotions, you may say, sir, what are you saying? We have studied in science. Plants do react when music is played, etc., etc. Oh, that means what? It's like saying, I said I have no money. Then you come and say, no, in your pocket I found 10 paisa. 10 paisa is no money. It's as good as no money. Very, very, very feeble reactions in plants. Then you come to animals, they have a lot of emotions. But they are victimized by emotions. You understand? They are emotional. They are victimized by their emotions. And when you come to a human being has life, has emotions, and can control the emotions. Not allow the emotions to control him or her. Isn't it? So, if you do not have emotions, then you are a plant. If you have emotions, you're victimized by it, then you are an animal. Isn't it? And if you have emotions and you keep your emotions under your control, then you are a human being. Now, you can even rise above this level. You can rise above this level to the level of divinity. That is only possible in a human being. Because only human being expresses the consciousness to a maximum level compared to animals and plants. You understand? So you can rise to a greater level and reach divinity and become God man or God woman. In the sense, you can go deeper into your personality, rise above your emotions, and identify with the divinity within. You understand? As long as you stay at a certain ego level, you will have disharmony. You will have misunderstandings. You understand? You will have war, terrorism, all this hatred, everything. But when a human being can rise to that level, and if a human being rises to that level, to the core, the center within, beyond ego, you understand? Then there is harmony. There is peace within, there is harmony without. You understand? So to that level a human being can rise. So if you are living your life means, you should attempt to grow to that height. That's the maximum you can go to. Are you even trying? Are you even aware? You understand? So a human being can rise to that height. He can go beyond his ego. You know, how old was Shahid Bhagat Singh when he laid his life for this country? How old was he? I heard somewhere 24. Okay. 24 years old. He rose above his little ego and identified with the nation. You understand? And gave up his life for this country. Shahid Uddham Singh, Shahid Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose ji, so many freedom fighters. Right? They rose above their little self and identified with the higher goal, nation. And you can even rise above. The more and more you rise, the less and less your ego diminishes to in size. You understand? And you see that joy, energy, everything commensurate with it. There's a lot more joy when you rise above your ego. There's a lot more cheer, energy. The greater the goal, the greater the energy. You understand? The more selfish your goal is, very less energy. I told you, when you live life, there has to be cheer. How is it possible to be cheerful when you are attached to your little ego, little self? Mera, mera, mera. Guru Nanak Ji said, no, not mera, tera. Tera, na, mera. You understand? So the more you rise, the more cheer, the more happiness, the more energy, the more life. Are you with me? So when you rise to that height of divinity, you are beginning to live your life. You're trying to raise it to the maximum. That's what Vedanta says. That is Vedanta. Vedanta is asking you to live your life fully. People have misunderstood it. Are Baba, Vedanta? Happening in sector 31? 4 days. In my map, Chandigarh map, 31 sector doesn't exist. I'll go another route. Because Chandigarh, you can go different ways, I'll take another. I don't want to come near 31. Baba, this Vedanta and all not for me. That means what? You are saying, I am life negative. I am not life positive. You understand? If I am life positive, I'll go. I'll try to put in this effort. I've got an opportunity. When I wake up this morning, okay, one more day I've got to help myself to rise to that height. Do I think like that? Arey Baba, itna jaldi subah ho gaya? I thought I'll sleep little bit more. No, you understand? You got your opportunity to rise to that height. Don't throw it. Don't waste it. Try. Even if you fall, it's okay. Swamiji says, every time you fall like a rubber ball. Don't fall like a lead plate. Lead plate will be stagnant there. Rubber ball will bounce back. It's okay to try and fall rather than even trying. People may sit and make judgment. Sometimes they say, I'm seeing some of your sadhaks behaving like this, behaving like that. They are also, Vedanta. They are students. So what? They're trying this. They're trying. You understand? At a very young age, they are trying. They may fall. You understand? So what? They're trying. They're trying to rise again. You understand? It's all very easy to sit and pass judgment. But you should look at it from that angle. Then you understand. Then it will be an inspiration to you. Rather than sitting and judging or criticizing. So, you must understand that one of the very important signs of life is growth. So, once you understand that, you want to grow to that height. In the beginning stage, you are called yogi. Then slightly when you evolve, you become a sannyasi. When you go and reach that state, you become a jnani. When you merge with Brahman, you are a jnani. You understand? And once you have become a jnani, how do you relate to action? How does a jnani relate to action? We have seen all this. I'm only doing a little summary. A jnani is a sakshi. He understands that he or she is Atma. Right? An Atma is a sakshi, enlivener, allows meaning the equipments function. The body, mind, intellect does their activities and he or she remains a witness because the person is identifying with Atma. Understand? Remaining a witness, the equipments are acting. That's what he said. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, all that he mentioned. You understand? See, every time, the whole day, all we are doing is, it's called as 3-hour traffic of life. It's called receipt of stimuli, reaction within, and response to the world outside. We are receiving the stimuli from the world, and we are reacting within, and we are responding back to the world. We are like the industry. The raw material comes from the world. It is getting processed in the factory, and again the produced product, the end product, is marketed back in the world. Like that, the senses come into us: color and form, taste, smell, everything, and then it get processed in us, and then we are sending out responses. Clear? So all the activities, receipt, reaction, response, the voluntary, involuntary, everything is going on. Eyes are blinking, opening and closing. Understand? Every time I close, world gone. Every time I open, world created. So if you understand the creation and destruction of the world, I am the observer. So I am beyond creation and destruction. You understand? So therefore, you become a sakshi. That is how a jnani acts. How does a sannyasi act? Sannyasi has not yet become Brahman, but the sannyasi is grown above the level of yogi. So he has attained a lot of purification. The bulk of the worldly vasanas have gone. Got a lot of vairagya. So with vairagya, the sannyasi acts for the sake of Brahman. I must get back to self. I must reach that height. You understand? So sannyasi's goal is Brahman. He acts for the sake of Brahman. Will this take me to Brahman? I'll do this. Otherwise I'm not doing. No, in Ramayana it is said that when Lord Hanumanji was presented with a mala, he put it to his ears. It didn't say Ram, he threw it. It's not going to help me to reach Brahman. Why should I do it? It's going to help me to reach Brahman. I'll do it. You understand? So everything is Brahman. And then come to yogi, who's in the initial stage of growth. You understand? Such a person, he understands, ultimately I have to reach that height. But to reach that height, I need to gain knowledge. It's through the knowledge that I can rise. But to gain that knowledge, I need to qualify. I need to become purified. Right? Only in a pure mind, in a clean mind, can the knowledge get transformed. The transaction itself is not possible if you are too agitated. You have to relax. Otherwise, how is it possible? Like I said yesterday, if you say, listen, I don't have time, so I am running. So why don't you also run with me and teach Vedanta? And what Vedanta you will teach while running? You understand? You have to sit down quietly. So Upa Ni Shad. Upa means near. Ni means below. Shad means what? Sit. Near, below, sit. That's why they put little elevated stage for me. You understand? You're close, near, below, sit. You are sitting down introvertedly, not running around extrovertedly. With that introversion, you look up with devotion, closer to the Shastra, Guru, and allow the knowledge to go in. That purification. So yogi's goal is what? Self-purification. Anything I do, it is for the sake of self-purification. You see, in the 4th chapter, verse 34, how a student gains knowledge. He says in the previous chapter, 4th chapter, verse 34, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You serve the Guru and be closer to the Guru and prostrate to the Guru, meaning with devotion, surrender, and then question. Seva to the Guru. Guru doesn't require your seva. Similarly, world doesn't require your seva or my seva. But if we do service, it helps me to grow. When I serve, you understand? When I serve, my purification is happening. Please understand that. Every time I get an opportunity to serve, I must think like this. I am getting purified. I don't know how many of you are benefiting from this class. I am definitely benefiting. Because it's giving me opportunity to read, reflect, and talk about it more and more. That's the reason we have taken this up full time. You understand? So even Stephen Covey says, if you want to learn, become a teacher. A teacher is one who has to constantly learn. You understand? So therefore, yogi keeps the self-purification as the goal and functions. He continues. We have done up to verse 11. Up to this. Verse 12.
Yukta karma phalam tyakva shantimapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena pare sakto nibadhyate.
See, he uses the word yukta and the opposite of it, ayukta. You must remember this. It's a very simple word, yukta. Yukta means centered person. One who's united. You understand? That's called yukta. Ayukta means one who's drifted away, not centered, not united. Spiritual person, non-spiritual person. So he says yukta. He is referring to yogi, sannyasi, jnani. All three. You understand? The yukta having abandoned the fruit of action. Yogi renounces the fruit of action. You understand? In the beginning. And what happens as a result? Shanti. Attains peace. Attains eternal peace eventually. The ayukta fellow, one who is drifted, meaning what? Instead of pursuing the self, instead of doing action to unite with Atma, he is running after the material wealth. As I told you, instead of growth, he chose swelling. Okay. So, as you are choosing swelling, see, please understand, we all have the freedom to choose. Every human being has choice of action. But once you choose, you are bound by its consequence. You are free to smoke or not smoke. But if you decide, I will smoke, you will be bound by that consequence. You understand? So he says, ayukta, one who chose swelling, non-united. So what is he doing? He is pursuing the material world. You understand? The material world as an end in itself. Now, this is very important. When I say he is pursuing the material world, that's why I said don't go to Gita class. These fellows will say, you resign today only. Resignation letter bejo. No. Pursuing the world as an end in itself. Do you understand? In the very beginning, first class I said, you should have clarity as to what is sadhana and sadhyam. Wealth is sadhana. Wealth is means. Sadhyam is not wealth. Goal should not be wealth. Wealth is a means. Whatever wealth you have should help you to get peace. Your wealth should help you to get cheer. You understand? Otherwise, what is the use of it? It's a big headache. You understand? So he says, ayukta, impelled by what? Desire. Has no higher goal, no higher purpose. The fellow is just living to fulfill the desires. You understand? And therefore, he is terribly attached to the fruit. Will my desire be fulfilled? I hope this 2026 will be a good year. That all my desires will be fulfilled. Anytime you try to keep fulfilling your desires, what happens is you will produce more desires. See, the formula for happiness is, it's a ratio between the number of desires fulfilled to the number of desires entertained. Number of desires fulfilled is numerator. Number of desires entertained is denominator. Number of desires fulfilled, 1000 desires you fulfilled. But every time you fulfill a desire, you are increasing the desires also simultaneously. So 1000 desires you fulfilled, but 10,000 desires you entertained. So what is the happiness proportion? 1 by 10. Fraction. Now, if you know how to fulfill the desires, but if you know how to not entertain desires. So what happens? Let's say you fulfill 1000 desires. You entertain only 2 desires. So 1000 by 2, 500. Your happiness is increased. If the denominator becomes 0, you entertain no desire. Anything divided by 0 is infinity. So you get infinite happiness. So rising above your desire, working for a larger purpose, that's how a yogi works. One is united with the goal, working towards that, and is unattached. Whereas this fellow, Ayukta, is attached to the fruit, terribly attached. And remember this, attachment is the biggest disease that is torturing all of us. And we are blissfully unaware. Blissfully unaware. Even this class, just for 4 days it is there. I have to sit here because this is the seat in which I have to sit and deliver. But you all can sit wherever you want, no? But I am seeing most of you are sitting in the same seat. In this 4 days itself, we are getting attached to that seat. When you come, supposing somebody else had taken your seat, you feel like informing, the police. Somebody has taken away my seat. Arey Baba. See how attachment works. It's a terrible, terrible disease. And Swami Ramtita says, attach, you lose, detach, you gain. And we must learn to detach. We must understand this weakness. We must be aware. There's a book that Swamiji has written called The Holocaust of Attachment. He compares it with Holocaust. 600,000 Jews were killed, putting them all in a gas chamber. That was called as Holocaust. So he says, this attachment virus is a deadly virus. You know what is the expansion of the word virus? In the computer language, I was told by somebody. Vital information resource under siege. V, vital. I, information. R, resource. U, under siege. The moment you get attached, whatever you heard in the Bhagavad Gita class, whatever you have studied, everything goes for a toss. Isn't it? Mere bacha, mera bibi. You understand? We get attached. Mera mother, mera father. We get attached. Mera furniture. Attachment. The moment you get attached, slight scratch in the car. Slight scratch. You are in the hospital. So attachment. You understand? So that's why he's saying, this is a deadly virus. Worst virus than many other. But we are blissfully unaware of. And this attachment to the fruit is very common. Will I get it? Will I get it? Will I get it? Even when we come to spirituality, we'll be attached. Will I be evolving? Understand? And as a result, we are bound, suffocated. We're creating more and more desires. And our life becomes shackled. When we become ayukta, when you become yukta, you become more and more free. You become liberated. So with this, second topic is over. First topic is yogi, sannyasi, jnani. Second topic is how they relate to action. Now the third topic begins from verse 13. What is the third topic? The state of supreme being. Okay, if I reach that state, what is that state? Because you've been constantly talking about it. I would like to aspire for it. So please talk about it. So Sri Krishna is talking about it. Continue. 13.
Sarvakarmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan.
He says, in fact, from verse 13, 14 and 15. In 13, 14, 15, he's talking about a jnani. The whole thing is talking about the state. Here he's talking about the jnani who's reached that state. He says, beautifully he says, Sarva karmani manasa sanyas aste sukham vashi. The first line. Sarva karmani. All actions. Sanyasya. Sanyas aste. Sitting, renouncing all actions mentally. Manasa. Manasa means through knowledge. You understand? Sarva karmani manasa. Sanyasaste sukham vashi. Sukha means happiness. Sukham vashi, happily resting with his senses under control. Vashi means one who's perfectly controlled. You understand? The senses are under his control. Our senses are not under our control. You understand? So, the person who's reached that state is absolutely self-controlled, and all the actions he is renounced mentally. You understand? Might have renounced physically, may not have renounced physically. That is immaterial. But mentally is risen above all the actions, meaning all the desires. You understand? There is no urgency that I must do this, I must achieve this. He's already reached that state. So he happily performs action wherever it is required. Right? Even sometimes, you find him sitting, not doing much, like chicken without head, he's not running around. Means what? He's got the knowledge. So mentally renouncing all actions and self-controlled. The embodied. We are all embodied people. The self, as it were trapped in this body. The embodied rests happily where? Navadware pure dehi. This body is called as the city of 9 gates. It has Navadwaram. You understand? So eyes, ears, nose, etc. So this Navadwara Puri, in this city, the embodied is resting. And then he says, neither even acting nor causing to act. Navadware pure dehi. Naiva kurvanna karayan. Naiva kurvanna karayan means what? Neither does he does anything, nor does he make other person do something, cause others to act. Sometimes, we don't do anything, but we'll make other people to act. You go. I don't want to ask. You ask. If they declare holiday, I will also benefit. But I don't want to ask. Like children, please go and ask. Please go and ask. Is it okay if we take leave tomorrow? Why don't you go? No, Baba, you ask. So, Atma neither does anything nor causes anyone else to act, meaning the equipments to act. See, I already covered the example with petrol. Remember, bring in that petrol example. No car can move without petrol. Yet petrol has no desire to move. Correct? And the performance of the car depends on the engine, not the petrol. And car reaching the destination safely or meeting with accident, it's to do with the driver, nothing to do with petrol. So petrol is not responsible for moving or not moving. And petrol is not going and making the engine to move at a particular speed. Petrol is just there as an enlivening factor. Similarly, the Atma in us is only an enlivening factor. The body, mind, intellect acts. You understand? Therefore, Atma neither does anything nor makes any equipment to function. In the presence of Atma, the equipments function. So he knows this. He has got this knowledge and he identifies with their Atma. Therefore, he is remaining as Akshi. You understand? And with no motive he remains. Here, the emphasis is on the motive. The problem is we all have motive. Swami Ramtita says, why do you fellows have motive? This morning, we went for a walk in Rose Garden. There were a few roses and they were all happily blooming and nicely, there. Now, they didn't say, oh, today is a weekend. Let's not bloom. Aaj Saturday, kal Sunday. You understand? So, we'll take chutti. You understand? They didn't say. They have no motive. They just bloom. You understand? Cow gives milk. No motive. Sun rises. No motive. Only human beings have motive. मैं ये करेंगे, आप ये करो, and then you will do this, we'll do that. This motive. You understand? The person who's reached that state, has no selfish motive, no motive. You understand? But through that person, due to the prarabdha, the actions happen. So therefore, since he identifies with Atma, there is no motive. Mentally renouncing, happily resting in the city of 9 gates. And this city, this body, which is referred to as city of 9 gates, is also rental basis. We have rented it. We are not the owner. We will vacate it. We know that we have to vacate one day. When we don't know. We only hope it's not soon. Isn't it? But this is on a rental basis. You understand? And he knows, therefore no attachment. We don't know, therefore full attachment. Kabola, Kabola? You talked about me? How dare? You understand? He understands. He is only resting peacefully, he enjoys. Continues.
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः न कर्मफलसंयोगं स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते.
He uses the word Prabhu. Prabhu means Lord. If you identify with Atma, you become Lord. If you don't identify with Atma, you identify with your mind, then you become what? Slave. The state of Supreme Being is like the master. You understand? Otherwise, you fall to the level of a slave. We are all fallen. Sri Krishna is always risen. Always. Never fallen. That's why Sri Krishna's another name is Achyuta. Achyuta. Achyuta means one who is never fallen. You understand? We are ever fallen. Our intellect has fallen. That's why Swamiji wrote a book. That's the first book we read in the course, 3 years course. Very important book. It's called The Fall of the Human Intellect. What has happened to our intellect today? It's fallen to that height, that level, from that height. Such a low level it is in now. You understand? So, you have the capacity to be a slave or to rise and be a lord. Swami Ramtita says, a slave is a slave because he is free. You say what? A slave is a slave because he is free. You are free and not knowing that you enslaved yourself. You enslaved yourself by identifying with your body, mind, intellect. From the childhood, people said, this is your name. You got identified with your name. अच्छा, अब ज़्यादा weight हो गया? आपका weight कम हो गया? You understand? Hair has turned grey. Constantly they are identifying with your body. You also identified with your body and you have become the body. Now, anything happens to the body happens to you. Now you have enslaved yourself. When they said, you've put on weight, you've lost weight, you understand, body has put on weight, body has lost weight. Of course, we need to work on reducing the weight. But please understand this. Transformation that spirituality talks about is not transforming from fat body to lean body. It is transforming the body. You understand? Of course, in the process, you will move from fat body to lean body. But if your whole focus goes into that, that is not transformation. You understand? So therefore, he says, the Lord, you become the Lord. So why is Swami Ramtita saying, since you have the freedom, you abuse the freedom, you identified with the body, you become the slave. You understand? Now if you gain the knowledge, you use the freedom, then you become free. A slave is a slave because he is free. A slave is a slave because he is free. So please understand, nobody has enslaved you. This is another confusion we all have. Oh, that person is like this person is like, you can't do this, you can't do that. You have enslaved yourself by thinking like this. It's very difficult. You know, how much ever you say, some justification or the other will come. It's very difficult. You can't talk to them. They'll think, ऐसा ही है, कुंडली में ऐसा लिखा है. Or this is like this, that person is like, you come and live there, then you will know. We talk like that. But the point is this: I have the freedom to identify with my body, my intellect, with my circumstances, or I have the freedom to identify with my Atma. But for that, I need to do sadhana. I need to study, which means the best time to study is early hours. Early hours I hate. For me, early hours means it starts at 9 a.m. Then mushkil hai. You understand? So, why early hours? Because relatively peaceful. Body has rested well. You understand? You have a better willpower. Sattva is manifested fully. So it helps to focus and reflect. Are you with me? So therefore he says the Lord, you rise to that level of Lord when you reach the self. So the Lord creates neither doership nor actions nor the union with the fruit of action. The Atma, the person is identified with Atma, having become the Jnani. So the Jnani is now like the Lord. He or she has no doership, right? And they are not doing actions. The actions are done through them. You understand? Nor they cling on to the fruit of action. The dependency is not there on the fruit of action. I told you, a jnani is one who has found the happiness within. As a result, he is not acting to find happiness. He is acting out of happiness. Out of happiness, you are singing. Whether you other fellow enjoys or not, I don't know. Yesterday, Naveen picks me up. Every day he picks me to the class. So we were chatting, and then in the discussion, he said he also has, interest in singing, and he's also, learned singing. So I said, it's very good. Yeah, I didn't know about this. We are going to start classes. So we'll start having bhajans also, So he said, I have not sung bhajans till now, but I can sing. So I said, why don't you sing? You understand? So he sang, and he's singing very well. You understand? He sang very well. Now, he sang well, it's okay. Supposing he didn't sing well, I can't get out of the car and run away. You understand? But I took a chance. But he sang well, I must say. He's good. So the point is, you sing out of joy. You understand? That's what he's saying. No union with fruit of action, getting attached in the world. In the world also means body. See, these verses we can go into much more depth, and I can't cover the slokas. Therefore he says, nature manifests itself. But the nature of each individual manifests itself. Understand? You go to the zoo, you understand. Tiger is functioning in a particular way. Deer is functioning in a particular way. The nature of the deer is to be meek and mild. The nature of the tiger is to be ferocious. Like that, in us also, all kinds of nature is there. It's functioning. You understand? Prakriti. When you go deeply, the Prakriti is nothing but Maya. That's why I said a lot more to discuss. But this freedom we have in the weekly classes. We don't have that freedom, luxury in the Gita lectures. So therefore, I'm not going into such depth. I'm just saying, but nature manifests itself. The Prakriti is functioning. He remains a Sakshi, like the Lord. He lords over, not get lorded over. He becomes the CEO of life. Continue.
नादस्ते कस्यचित् पापम् न चैव सुकृतं विभुः अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः.
The Lord accepts neither the sin nor even the virtue of anyone. Here the word used is vibhuhu. Previous verse, prabhuhu. This verse, vibhuhu. Vibhuhu means all pervading, sarvavyapi, all pervading. So once you identify with the Atma, it is the same Atma that is reflected in all beings. So he identifies with the Atma in every being. You understand? All pervading reality, all pervading truth. And once you identify, there are a lot of actions that people do which is sinful, meaning it comes back with agitation. See, Vedanta mein technical explanation for the word sin is agitation. Generally, you say pap, punya. You understand? Sin means agitation. When you do any action out of desire, it creates agitation. You understand? That agitation is called sin. Good desire, bad desire, both produce agitation. If I have a good desire, everybody who comes to the class must understand Vedanta. I'll get agitated. Because it's not possible. Whether the speaker himself, how much he has understood, God only knows. His guru will know. You understand? So, the Lord accepts neither the sin nor the virtue. You understand? Then, how this is happening? He says, knowledge is veiled by ignorance. These fellows, they don't have any knowledge about Atma. They are all thinking themselves to be this individual. And since I think I'm the individual, this ego, it needs to be protected. I don't understand that this is false. Not only this is false, everything is false. Nothing is satyam. Nothing is satyam means what? There's another word called mithya. Satya means independent reality, independent existence. Mithya means dependent existence. Atma alone is independently existing. Everything else is dependent on Atma. You understand? Therefore, what happens? When you depend on something, that itself depends on something else. What will happen? I depend on you to bring your car. You depend on your driver to drive the car. And driver suddenly doesn't come. And he switched off his mobile phone also. Now what will you do? You understand? So he says, knowledge is veiled by ignorance in those people who have no knowledge of Satyam, who have no knowledge of Atma. You understand? They are covered by ignorance, vasanas. And therefore, they do all kinds of things to protect this ego. They think by hook or crook, I have to get it. So they think, okay, I can do a lot of negative things, this and that. They do a lot of pap. You understand? Like the car meeting with accident because the driver has gone off to sleep. Or nasha mein, he was driving. You understand? Can you call the petrol to the court? You are under arrest. What have I done? You understand? Petrol has got nothing to do with it. So he says, knowledge is veiled in that fellow. Therefore he committed sin. Therefore he did virtue. Virtue, see in Vedanta, anything you do that creates vasanas, taking you away from the self. Anything that you do that reduces vasanas takes you closer to the self. So if you do an action with good desire, you produce good vasanas. You do an action with bad desire, selfish desire, you produce bad vasanas, selfish vasanas. Both vasanas keep you away from divinity. So in Vedanta, therefore, we say, don't do an action propelled by neither good vasanas nor by bad vasanas. Do it because it has to be done. When I'm doing this class, I can do it with a lot of unselfishness. Then I'll create more and more good vasanas. If I do it with selfishness, how famous I can become, then a lot of pop. Listen, I've studied Vedanta. The best way is to keep reading it. There's a nature also to talk, people who want to listen. So you go about talking. Whoever understands, understands. You be sincere as best as possible. You teach. You are basically teaching yourself. Like Swami Ramtita says, reforming the world is like straightening a dog's tail. You have to be a reformer of yourself first. Wanted reformers not of others but of themselves. You understand? Then you are doing action selflessly. Then you don't create vasanas. So that's what he's saying. Beings are thereby deluded. They're all having ulta understanding. Delusion means ulta understanding in everything. Therefore they are doing all kinds of things. Going on collecting both punya and papa and swelling rather than growing. You understand? Therefore he says, I have nothing to do with it. See, now these things you have to understand correctly. Then you say, Arey Baba, then that means what? I can do whatever I want because I am Atma. I'm beyond papa and punya. There's a very interesting story. One fellow committed murder and he got caught. And he had a lot of witnesses were there, so it's proven that he's guilty. So the judge was going to pronounce the sentence, hang him. So this fellow said, sir, I didn't do anything. My body murdered. He's a Vedanta class student. You understand? 5th chapter he studied. So my body only murdered. I didn't do anything. I'm Atma. Luckily, the judge was also coming to the same class. He also studied Vedanta, but he studied correctly. So he said, correct. You are Atma, body only murdered. So we are arresting the body and putting it in jail. Please understand this correctly. Otherwise, you will be in trouble. Then you may take me to the court. This fellow only taught me like this. That's why I'm clarifying. So, beings are deluded, therefore they are functioning like this. I've got nothing to do with it. Continue.
Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitam atmanah tesham adityavajnanam prakashayati tatparam.
But in whom ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. In them knowledge reveals the supreme like the sun. Is giving an example here. Like the sun, the supreme, the knowledge of the supreme removes ignorance, he says. See, why are we deluded now? Thinking that I am Lakshmi Narayan, I am Sahiba, I am this, I am that. Right? I'm deluded. Delusion means ulta understanding, as I told you. Right? Now, why am I deluded? Because I'm ignorant of my true nature. I'm ignorant of myself, and therefore I am thinking that I am this individual. Ignorance causes delusion, and once I'm deluded, I'll have raga dvesha, lot of raga, lot of attachments. Because I'm thinking of myself to be this limited individual. This limited individual needs protection. ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, सब कुछ चाहिए. Protect करना पड़ेगा ना सबसे. So therefore, ये करना, वो करना, बहुत सारा desires and attachments शुरू हो जाता है. So please understand, ajnanam causes moha. From moha comes raga. And raga means, after raga what? Once you have likes and dislikes, and you start functioning on likes and dislikes, attachment, then what happens? Bondage. Slavery. This is what is happening. Please understand. So now, to remove the ignorance, what is the medicine? To remove darkness, what is the medicine? Light. Light alone can remove darkness. You understand? If I fight with the darkness, there is something called a shadow boxing. Do you know? They practice as if there's an opponent, and they practice escaping, defending, punching, and all that they do. Isn't it? And if you do shadow boxing, depends on your stamina, how long you can do that. That will improve your stamina also. After 2 minutes, in badminton also we do that. I don't know whether they do in any other sport, but badminton I play, so I know. First, when they train you, you assume there is an opponent, and you cover the court in two steps. Front, side, diagonal, back, everything in 2 steps. You cover and come back to the center. And when you practice that, you understand? Some people are able to do for 5 minutes, some people for 10 minutes. You get tired. But when you play badminton, rallies, you never know. When you're playing with a champion player, it can go on. So you need stamina, you need to cover quickly and come back. So you get tired when you do shadow boxing. Similarly, when you fight with ignorance, you get tired. So you are not supposed to fight with ignorance. You are supposed to bring in light. Gain knowledge. Understand? When you bring in knowledge, the knowledge removes ignorance. Isn't it? Similarly, like the light removes darkness, knowledge removes ignorance. That's why he says, like in them the knowledge reveals the supreme, the self within, which is covered. You remember, self-realization or enlightenment is a discovery. It is not an attainment. You are already the self. You are already the divinity. You do not know that you are the divinity. And therefore, this ignorance has brought us to this level. So now we have to remove the ignorance. How? Through knowledge. And as we gain knowledge, as we get established in knowledge, the ignorance goes and the truth from within reveals itself. Continue.
तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्यपुनरावृत्तिम् ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः.
Sorry. See, 17, 18, 19 could be taken as talking about that state of supreme being, jnani, from the past, present and future. That is one way of looking at it. Because what he is talking about, I'll explain that. From that we say it's from the past. He says, tad buddhaya. Tad buddhaya means intellect in that. If you see Swamiji's commentary, the translation, that will be with capital T. Capital T means Atma, Brahman. Small t means this body, mind, intellect. You understand? Buddhi should be in that. Buddhi should be in Atma. Tad buddhayaha. Intellect. Then tad atma. Tadatmanam. Atma here means mind in the context. See, sometimes what happens, we keep our buddhi every day studying about Atma, Brahman and all that. I'm keeping my buddhi in Atma. But my mind is still thinking about lowly things. So the mind also should be kept there. Okay. Then he says, Tannishtaha. Tannishtaha means established in that. See, established in that means, you see, life will give a lot of challenges. Especially difficult situations it will put you in. And if supposing you don't really wake up, you get distracted. No, during difficult times, what do? Arey, chhod do yaar, Vedanta and all. We'll see later. Abhi business loss mein chal raha hai. So Vedanta ko chhod do. When business is going in loss, you need Vedanta even more. But you leave it. All the more you leave it when it is in profit. So Bhagavan first will send you loss. Okay. Vedanta chhod dega. Then sometimes, loss or nothing. Dukh mein simran sab kare. So sometimes what happens, dukh mein, you will come to Vedanta class. I don't know how many of you have come like that. But dukh mein simran sab kare. Sukh mein kare na koi. You understand? So sukh distracts you even more. So Bhagavan gives more sukh. You understand? No. Dukh or sukh doesn't matter. I will be established in Brahman, in that goal. Tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha, then tannishtaha, then tat parayanaha. That is ultimate. See, when we go to a supermarket, you have a list of things that you want to buy. Supposing they say, sorry sir, we are closing in 5 minutes. Announcement comes. 5 minutes we are closing. Quickly come to the counter in 2 minutes. Now, you have such a big list. At the same time, you want to buy something. You will buy the things that are extremely important for you. No? You have other things also. Save puri and all that. You say save puri and all can wait. Baba. You understand? I need atta. You understand? So you give importance. Right? Like that he says, this should be the supreme. Right? So what he's saying is, though when knowledge comes, ignorance immediately goes. When light comes, darkness immediately goes. So it happens instantaneously. But in our life, the knowledge slowly, step by step reveals the truth. It is not that the knowledge is revealing the truth step by step. It reveals immediately. But step by step obstacles go. Slowly, slowly we remove obstacles. As we remove obstacles, more and more knowledge reveals itself. That is beautifully explaining. So that is the supreme goal. Around that I work. Understand? It's not like Vedanta is my last priority. Sab hoega, then I will come to Vedanta. No, that's first, then everything. So he says, such a person whose sins have been dispelled by knowledge. Means what? Agitations go. Why agitations go? Because delusion goes. Why delusion goes? Ignorance goes. To that extent, is not acting to fulfill desires. Is pitching up a higher goal and functioning. And Jnani is reached that. I'm talking about the one who is in the path. But he's talking about that state. That knowledge has dispelled the darkness, the ignorance. As a result, agitations have gone. And that person is reached that supreme state, no return. So desires we gather from the past. And those desires we rise above. Therefore, he says this verse is from the past. You understand? So this verse is also talking about how step by step the knowledge reveals itself. As I told you, knowledge, either you have knowledge or you are ignorant. There is no such thing as 50% I know the self. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Either you know or you don't know. But yet we say step by step the knowledge reveals itself. Because step by step the obstacles are removed. From that angle. You understand? So he says, such a person who's reached that height reaches a state of no return. Reaches a state of no return doesn't mean that tomorrow he doesn't come to the class. You understand? Reaches a state that he doesn't return means the vasanas are gone. It is the vasanas that make you to take birth. Once the vasanas are exhausted, no more birth. The person goes beyond birth. 18.
Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavidhastini shuni chaiva shvapake cha pandita samadarshinaha.
Beautiful shloka. Verse number 18 of chapter 4. Verse number 18 of chapter 5. Both are very important shlokas. Now, if you can memorize all the shlokas, fine. Otherwise, at least these important shlokas you try to memorize. Don't memorize, nothing wrong. Nothing will, you lose nothing. But it's a beautiful shloka. He says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. A Brahmin is one who should be endowed with both Vidya and Vinaya. Knowledge and humility. Very rare to find this. People with knowledge are very arrogant. Many of them. You understand? Whereas if you are a Brahmana, you may be saying, my, what do you call this? My Gotra, Kaushika Gotra, Atreya Gotra, Bharadwaja Gotra, all these Gotra, fine, born in that Gotra. But what is your situation today? You understand? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. If you say you're a learned person, you're a Brahmin. Brahmana means one who works to reach Brahman, one who studies Vedas, one who studies Gita for the sake of reaching Brahman. You understand? And may be engaged in teaching Vedas. But the whole idea is to get back to Brahman. That is called Brahman. But today, the meaning has changed. So he says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. Beautifully he says, Vidya and Vinaya go together. The wise view equally a Brahmana endowed with learning and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even an outcast. See, it is not that he has a problem, that he is not able to see the differences. His eyes will see the difference, but he sees the Atma in every being. You understand? How, like thief, you go to the jewelry shop. What do you see? Bangles, necklace. You understand? Bangles, necklace, nose ring, anklet, ye, wo, aap, ye dekh rahe. You understand? When a thief enters, what does he see? 4-letter word, gold. Sab kuch GOLD. So he doesn't care whether it is bangle or necklace or nose ring. He goes with a backpack. You understand? I used to say sack. Nowadays backpack. You understand? And he opens the backpack, pushes the whole thing. You understand? Because he's seeing gold. It's not that he's not seeing the ornaments. He's seeing, but his vision is on the gold. Similarly, an evolved person in the present, what is the vision? The vision is what? Swarupa Darshanam. Not Nama Rupa Darshanam. Not the name and form, but Swarupa. You understand? So that is how, when a person reaches that state, views. We'll do one more sloka, 19.
येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः.
So what happens to that person with reference to future? Past, he said, he will rise above the desires. He's risen above the desires, which comes from the past. In present, he has equal vision. Future, he says, even here, birth is overcome by those whose minds rests in evenness. He's referring to the previous sloka, evenness. Brahman is indeed spotless, means without any dosha, without any dukkha, and equal. It is samatva bhava. Therefore, they are established in Brahman. Why that person wants to get established in Brahman? Why? Because in Brahman alone there is no dukkha. When you pursue Brahman, there is only more and more happiness. I'll explain this in detail tomorrow. Right? As you see, otherwise you think, when I go and reach Brahman, I will get happiness. Tab tak kya hota hai? Like in the Hindi movies, if you see Hindi movies, any Indian movie, most of the movies abroad also, the villain fellow, whole movie he enjoys. He's traveling in helicopter, you understand, and personal assistant, sab kuch hai villain ke paas. This hero, he pulls rickshaw, all difficult things he does, and then he will conquer the villain in the end scene, last scene, and everybody is happy. Now, one child asked me, isn't it better to be villain? Whole life you enjoy. Last, like Ravan also. A fellow enjoyed. Last, mar gaya. You understand? So, I would like to be a villain. If you understand it like it's a problem. You understand? Therefore, Vedanta is not like when you reach there, you will be happy. As you proceed, the little obstacle removed, little more knowledge revealed, you become more and more happy. Your life commensurate with happiness. You understand? Commensurate with cheer. Otherwise you will say, Baba, when will I realize? Maybe not in this Janma, maybe 10 Janmas. It's okay. This Janma, I dedicate for the body. Next mind, next intellect. Fourth mein dekh lenge. You understand? He is not saying that. He is saying, here and now, in this body, in this time, in this world, here and now, you go beyond this. You have the potential to rise above it. And a jnani has gone beyond birth. Beyond birth means death. Birth means death means change. You understand? He goes beyond change. He is not affected by any change. He becomes changeless. Do you understand? That is that state of Supreme Being. So 13 to 19 talks about that state of Supreme Being, which we have concluded today. One more topic is left. 20 to 29. 10 shlokas. I have to cover tomorrow. Right? Guru and God will bless us. We will do it aram se, not in a hurry. Okay? So please understand the thought flow. That is important. Tomorrow I'll do little bit of thought flow and continue. Yeah? So, thank you. Hari Om.